Hello and welcome to another collection highlight from the California State Railroad Museum Library and Archives. Today we are exhibiting selections from the Charles O. Sweetwood Blood Procurement Car Collection, MS 760. On January 10, 1951, the Western Pacific Railroad launched what would become a 2.5-year campaign to assist in blood procurement for the American National Red Cross. Onlookers stood outside Western Pacific's Oakland Station on 3rd Street as a cadre of military personnel, marching bands, and press awaited the christening of the Charles O. Sweetwood, the very first blood procurement car launched by any railroad. The name of the car was significant. Charles O. Sweetwood was a former Western Pacific Railroad carman from Elko, Nevada, who regularly maintained the superintendent's business car, a Pullman observation car, which would later bear his name. He joined the United States Armed Forces, and on September 8, 1950, he tragically lost his life in the Korean War serving as an Army medic. He was the first employee of the Western Pacific Railroad to die in the war, as well as the first Nevada resident to lose his life during the conflict. Western Pacific's blood procurement program was organized and led by Gilbert Neese, assistant to the president of the Western Pacific Railroad in charge of public relations. Neese was aware Western Pacific was a small and relatively new railroad compared to others throughout the United States, and one that could use positive publicity. He felt partnering with the Red Cross would not only greatly benefit the increase in blood supplies for soldiers and assist in the war effort, but it would also boost public engagement in the overall blood donation program. The Red Cross responded positively to his proposal. At the time, Western Pacific had a main line that ran from San Francisco to Salt Lake City through areas that had few blood collection facilities and were untouched resources. The fact that Western Pacific would absorb the cost of transportation, food, linens, and other services was also appealing to the Red Cross. After much consideration, the Red Cross approved of the collaborative project. In a report from Neese, he explains the details of the car.
Opening off the rear observation platform, the lounge, fitted with easy chairs, sofa, and typewriter desk, became the reception center. Next, along the narrow side aisle, 4 of the 5 bedrooms were fitted up for actual blood donations, while the 5th became a laboratory for blood tests, records, etc. Still further forward, the car's dining room became the canteen for serving orange juice, coffee, and donuts, etc. to the donors after they had given their blood. A kitchen with a large refrigerator where the blood would be stored, a shower bath, and sleeping quarters for the porter completed the car's facilities. A permanent staff of 4 nurses was on board, and they would sleep in the donor rooms while the car was traveling. Blood was collected daily and temporarily stored in refrigerators, then packed in ice trunks, which were transferred to the westbound California Zephyr on its way to Oakland. There, the blood would be processed and shipped to Korea.
For over 2.5 years, the Charles O. Sweetwood visited various locations such as Stockton, Reno, Elko, and Salt Lake City. The blood drive proved a huge success, and even competitor railroads such as the Southern Pacific and Union Pacific picked up on the action. According to Neese, over 10,000 newspaper columns documented the program, as well as various magazines and radio broadcasts. Personal letters of gratitude showed up at his office. On November 9, 1953, the Charles O. Sweetwood was retired in a ceremony at the Presidio of San Francisco. By this time, it had traveled thousands of miles and collected over 25,000 pints of blood throughout several western states. In a letter dated November 10, 1953, an American National Red Cross Pacific Area manager wrote,
"It would have been impossible to visit a good number of communities for the collection of blood for the armed forces without your offer of this car. Our staff and the many chapter volunteers would like to pay tribute also to the Western Pacific employees with whom they worked closely. These men and women made every effort to facilitate the work of the Red Cross staff. During its 2.5 years of service with the Red Cross, the Charles O. Sweetwood car has made a distinct contribution to the National Blood Program and through it to the welfare of the men and women in the armed forces."
Due to the perseverance of the local community and the support of Western Pacific rail fans all over the state, The Charles O. Sweetwood was saved from the scrapper's torch and is undergoing restoration for display at the Western Pacific Railroad Museum of the Feather River Rail Society in Portola, California. Thank you for joining us today. If you like this video and want to learn more about our collections, please visit our online catalog or contact us directly. We hope to see you in the archives soon.